Hey guys! So you heard Chelsea's ghost stories and now it's time for mine. So buckle up and let's go.
Oh, you're just so scary.
Oh my gosh, okay. So I'll just get into it.
Yeah.
So my first paranormal experience happened when I was about, I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 14 years old. The years kind of blend together when unfortunately a close family friend passed away from drug use. Now, at the time, I didn't know he died. I actually found out a day later after his passing. So the night that he died, when I still had no idea, I was in my family room preparing for a nice little movie night, made myself some popcorn, was gonna have a fine evening. Lights are all off, the mood's all set, when all of a sudden I see a human-like figure to my right in the doorway of the family room. And I'm like, and before I can really process anything, that figure comes right at me and passes through me, which is, when a spirit passes through you, at least in my experience, it's very cold sensation, but very calming. I wasn't afraid at all. I was not intimidated upon seeing this figure. It just kind of went through me and went beyond and then was gone. So the next day, the next morning, my mom finds out that our family friend had passed away and she lets me know. So I take that paranormal experience as being our friend that was letting me know that, unfortunately I did pass, but I'm moving on. I'm not stuck in this world and I'm gonna move on to whatever there is in the afterlife and you don't have to worry about me. And there was such a calming feeling that I felt at ease. And so, having to process with his passing, that was actually a really positive thing.
It's interesting because it's such a sad story, but it's also really beautiful. When you told that to me, I instantly got chills, just thinking that he was there to let you know that he's okay, he's at peace, he's moving on. I think that's really beautiful, even though it's a really sad story. And I think that just kind of goes to show just how spiritual you are. And I'm almost wondering if you are somewhat of a medium, where you could kind of open up to these abilities more.
I've always wondered that. I'm why did he find me? At the time I was anywhere from 12 to 14. He was well into his 20s. Why did he come to me? And he must have known, in this spirit realm that I would be the one that could see him and really pass on this knowledge that, hey, he's gonna be just fine.
Yeah. I love that story. Even though it's so sad, I find it just kind of I don't know.
It's very comforting and grounding. It really was. I'm telling you, when he passed through me, I had no negativity, no fears, nothing.
Yeah.
It was just, I'm here and now I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I'll be fine. Well, that was the first one. Hopefully it didn't make you cry. So the second story has to do with a job that I had when I was living in Boston. So I was working at this bar called the Ginger Man, which is a great place. You should check it out. It has at least 70 craft beers on tap at all times. So my type of place.
I know.
But so anyways, Boston is, of course, a very, very old city with a lot of history and a lot of old buildings that have been repurposed. So what that tells us is there's a lot of ghostly activity inside these walls. So I start my first day at the Ginger Man, and the first thing that my manager tells me is, I'm going to be honest with you, this place is haunted. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll see it when I see it,
Yeah.
But, slowly and surely the ghost did open up to me. But in that time, he told me that, they know it's haunted because all these things have happened. And there's a laundry list of things that they just can't explain and they can't explain away. So he told me that they had a seance, actually. And they found out that the spirit's name is Emily. And she used to live in that building once upon a time. Now, Emily is a mother. She has a child. It's unclear if her child lives with her, but that's definitely something, a part of her story, and something that she made very clear in the seance. Now, from the time in the early 1900s or what have you, when she lived there, it's been transformed from housing to a bank and then finally into a bar/restaurant. So giving that context of the bank, there's the upper level of the building. And then there's a lower level that has a vault in it that, you can transform for private parties and things like that, where most of the activity occurs. They come to find out that Emily really doesn't like when people occupy her space, and that's when she tends to act up. So people would occupy her space downstairs for private events, for holidays. For example, St. Patrick's Day is always a madhouse down there, and that's exactly when I first met Emily. So I'm down in the basement, bartending, slinging Guinnesses, making sure the drunkards get their fries in time before they attack me. And so I'm instructed by the lead bartender to go up into the kitchen to check on the food. Like I said, the drunk people really want their french fries. So I go back, I walk back from the bar, straight back, which there's a little sitting area before you enter the vault, which has been repurposed into seating area, but still had that big vault-like door. Straight back, and once you head into the full back of the basement, there's just a storage area for anything that the bar could need, where the kegs are, where the liquor is, where the dry storage is, and from there there's a secret passage up and into the kitchen. So it's a very quick way to get upstairs and get what you need. So, just like that, he tells me to go and get the food, and I start venturing back. And I'm in the very most back part, away from any of the crowd, by myself in the back storage area, when all of a sudden I get this just hot, sick feeling, and one by one, it's a very narrow hallway, and one by one I can see on my left the lights just start to turn off. It goes boom, 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 coming straight towards me. I just panic, and my best reaction is to run when gets real. So the lights start going off, and I start running from the side up to the back stairway and up, and make it out with seemingly what seems like my life. I'm like, how did that just happen? So terrified. Get up to get the food, and I come back down the same way because it's absolutely packed and I couldn't make any other way happen. Come back the same way, the lights are back on. And I take that as Emily letting me know, hey, I'm here, and I'm pissed that there's people in my space. And my manager let me know a couple different things that she's been up to, when I told him about that night, such as, when you're back there, when you're in the vault, the basement, when you're in the dry storage, Emily likes to pinch people. So I don't know if you can see, but her favorite thing is to go like this to clothing. That's her favorite thing. My manager used to keep keys around his belt loop, and she would like to jingle them. Like when he's standing still, she would jingle the keys, pinch clothing. Another famous story in that building was that in that back stairway, there is this like little cutout in the wall, a hole in the wall going to like this separate part of the basement, which is just so creepy, and I tried not to look into anytime I went past it just in case. But that's where the hot water heater is located, and one time it broke, so they had to have repairmen go into that crawl space, fix the repair heater, and Emily decided to rear her head and let them know they were displeased, doing all that work, banging, keeping her up all hours of the night, and so she decided to make a scene. The workmen reported hearing a baby crying, not just crying, but scream crying, really disturbing, while they were down there trying to fix the heater, so much that they stopped what they were doing midway, went up, let everyone know what was happening, and had to go back days later to finish the job because they were so spooked. Now, another paranormal activity that happened probably a couple weeks, if not a month later than St. Patrick's Day to me, I was tending the bar upstairs, and having known Emily firsthand, knowing that she's there, also maybe her getting a sense that, I can see her, I know what's happening. There were a rack of, cups. There were a rack of cups for the beer, and she rocketed out one cup. Like, rocketed is such the best word. It just propelled from a shelf. It was perfectly fine. Propelled from a shelf and, combusted on the floor. And I was the only person at the bar. I was opening that morning, so something was happening.
Wow.
Yeah, so super spooky. That's what I can say about Emily. And the Gingerman, definitely check them out if you're in Boston. They're also in New York. They're great people. If you're into ghost hunting, maybe flick on your app. You'll run into Emily.
Yes, and let us know if you go.
Yes, let us know.
Send us a DM on Instagram or comment down below if you've ever been there.
I also want to know your favorite beer because they have everything.
We like beer.
That's so fun.
Yay. But that shows just how strong of a spirit she is. The fact that she can move things and like pull clothing, and like the fact that she has that amount of energy just shows how strong she is. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. And like the fact that like Emily is so chill until you go into her space, and then she's like, oh hell no.
Yeah, she's sassy.
She's sassy like that, which I can get down with. I'm like, okay, fair. Yeah. Then my third story has to do with a very close friend of mine and her house, her childhood home. So I live about a 5-second walk from my very, very good friend. Our backyards are connected. So we were teenagers at the time, 15, 16 years old. What do you do at that age? You can't do anything. You can't drive around. You know, your parents don't want to bring you everywhere, so you have to get creative. So I text my friend and I'm like, hey, want to go walking around the neighborhood? We used to do that so much. Our neighborhood is actually backs up to a school, which has a very pretty nature reserve. So that's what we did all the time. Just walk, whether it was in the neighborhood, explore the nature preserve. So she's like, yeah, come on over. And it was a very stereotypical scary movie day. It was overcast, which is so typical for Syracuse as well. Slightly rainy, nothing too like averse where like you're like, oh, I don't want to go outside, but it, you know, it was drizzling a little bit. So I bring my umbrella and I'm walking over, and she texts me and she's like, yeah, it's cool, like I just gotta throw pants on, you know, like wait in the garage so you're out of the rain, I'll be right down. So I walk right into her garage, you know, I guess what's it called? Collapse my umbrella, and I'm waiting there, and I have my phone, which at the time, this might date me a little bit, but it was like the first phone besides the iPhone to have like a big screen, and it was called the, what do I want to call it? The Envy. Okay, that was right. Yeah. It was the Envy, so it had like that big iPhone screen, but you could flip it up and it had like a little keyboard. So my Envy light from that screen, you know, I was texting people, whatever, it was illuminating the garage, like very nicely. And you know, at the time, my friend had a baby sister, so they had a security system on any door that opened to be like, garage door opened. So while I'm waiting in the garage, I hear that command, I hear the door open and shut. So, you know, I'm like, sweet, Jasmine's here. I look, and, you know, I have my little Envy light, and I look and I see what looks like my friend Jasmine. She is a very tiny girl who is mixed from Trinidad and India, so she's very tiny, has like this gorgeous long black hair. So I see what looks like my friend Jasmine, except her black hair is hanging over her face, and I can't see a face. But every other detail was spot on body-wise and hair-wise, but I can't see a face. So I go, hey Jazz, what's up? Keeps walking towards me, Jazz? And it got so close to me that I took my umbrella and poked it, and it dissipated. I don't know if you can see, but I have goosebumps like just talking about it, because that was one of the most disturbing paranormal encounters I've ever had. Poke it with an umbrella, it completely disappears. Moments after that, my friend Jasmine comes out like, hey, you ready to walk? And I'm like, what the heck did I just see? And, you know, asking that is redundant. I know exactly what I just saw. Jasmine's house is incredibly haunted. I knew that from the jump, but at that time, I never had any encounters, but something happened to change all of that. So a few weeks before that major moment happened for me, we decided to go down into the basement. It's summertime. We wanted a freeze pop. And her freezer was located in the back part of her basement. Now, she had let me know that, you know, her house had always been haunted. People have reported being scratched by something, which is just so scary. Scratched, clothing pulled, things like that. Her dad also reported waking up but being held down, similar to sleep paralysis but completely conscious, being held down and then watching at the foot of his bed almost an exact image of himself pace back and forth. Which just really speaks to the strength of the spirits that are there. Yeah. So they had, you know, after him being held down like that, after people getting scratched, they had a paranormal team come on in and really investigate what was going on. And they found out that many spirits live there. And all of them except one are very positive and harmonious and don't want to cause any harm. Like, for example, there's a grandpa, there's a mother, there's a child, and they're all fine. You know, they really don't want to bother anyone. They're just existing in that home. For whatever reason, they're tied there. But there's one, which I have goosebumps again. You can see my little hair. There's one that they're all afraid of, and that happens to live in a back room in the basement. So, you know, having gone down there to get freeze pops, we must have disturbed it. So that was really, really scary. And that is really my 3 major paranormal experiences. Let me know what you think below. We're definitely trying to get back into Jasmine's house to kind of show you everything that's going on, to ghost hunt a little bit.
I really hope that happens. I'm terrified, but I'm also so interested and fascinated, so.
I'm absolutely terrified. We're gonna stockpile sage, crystals, whatever can help me, and I'm keeping my pets around me at all times, which I already do, but if they start acting a fool, I'm gone.
Yeah, seriously. Alright, so that was some more paranormal stories. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos from us, and we'll see you next time. Bye!